In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to connect your data to RealTest so you can start to use the software for its intended purpose, design and testing trading systems. When you first install and open up RealTest, it's going to look something like this. But when I first opened RealTest, I looked at it and said, where are my charts? How do I start? And so in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to connect your data so you can start to see charts and start to create your scripts and do your backtesting. But before we do that, I want to share with you the best data source for you to use with RealTest. And if you're trading stocks, absolutely the best data source for you to use is Norgate Data. There's a link below this video for you to click to subscribe to Norgate Data if you're not already a subscriber. Norgate provides data for the US market, the Canadian market, and the Australian market as of the time of this recording. And the great thing about Norgate Data is it's survivorship bias free. The data downloader is very high quality. The splits and adjustments are all taken care of. And the team at Norgate do a fantastic job of creating amazing data for you to work with so you get accurate results with your backtesting and trading. And RealTest integrates very naturally and easily with Norgate Data. So that's why I recommend you subscribe to Norgate when you're using RealTest. If you want to trade markets other than the US, Canada, or Australia, the data source that I use and recommend is Metastock data. Metastock has one global data subscription that gives you access to every single stock market globally. So if you want to trade markets like Hong Kong, like what I do, to get additional diversification, then Metastock data is the right one to use. Click the Metastock link below to subscribe to Metastock data so you can link it up to your RealTest and get started on those markets. All right, so how do we link up RealTest to our Norgate data? We come back into RealTest. So I've got a blank script open here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an import section. And so we just type the word import with a colon. Now, when we're defining imports, there's a couple of things we need to do. The first one is data source. And as soon as you start typing, you'll notice that this little drop-down menu pops up and allows you to select the function that you want. And the great thing about that is you don't have to know the exact function name. As long as you start to type it, you can usually select it from the drop-down list. So we want data source. So we'll just hit enter. I'm going to hit a tab to keep it neat. And the data source I want to use is Norgate. And again, if you just start typing Norgate, you'll see it there. Once we've got the data source, we need to tell it what data to actually include from the Norgate database. So I'm going to have an include list. So you can see include list comes up here, and we can select that and hit enter. So if we want to use a predefined watch list from within Norgate, all we need to do is hit the full stop, and then all of the predefined watch lists in Norgate will come up. And you can also select your own, set up your own watch lists in Norgate as well. So let's imagine we want to look at the Nasdaq 100. If you're backtesting, you would want the current and past Nasdaq 100. Let's go with the current and past for now. So I select that. If you want to include some indices in your data that you're downloading, so you can refer to the indices in your trading system, you'll also want to add those at this point as well. So I'm going to add another include statement here. I'll just hit enter. And then what I'm going to do is type the symbol, the ticker for the Nasdaq 100 stock index, so we can include that. Then we also need to include the start date and the end date. So I'll type start date, and let's make it from 1st of January 1995, and end date, and let's make that latest. Latest means your database would include all data. If you wanted to use or to force yourself to only use a in-sample period of data, then you might put latest to a certain date. Like for example, if you want to design your system on 1995 to 2018, you might put end date as 1st of January 2018. And then you could make sure that you don't cheat and look at the later data when you're designing your system, so you've got some out-of-sample data held aside. If you want to use it for trading, obviously you're going to have your end date as latest, so you've got all of the latest data in your database. Hey, if you're finding this video helpful and you want to go deeper with RealTest, I've put together a complete free program called RealTest Launchpad. The best part is it's completely free and you get lifetime access. So all you need to do is click the link in the description below and register to get access to RealTest Launchpad now. So if you want to learn RealTest fast and get up and running with confidence in the next couple of days, click the link in the description below and get access to RealTest Launchpad. You can just pause this video, click the link, get registered, and then come back. You'll get instant access to over 30 different tutorial lessons showing you how to do all of the important functions in RealTest. So click the link below and I'll see you on the inside. Now back to the video. So the last thing we want to do is give it a name so that we can refer to this RealTest data file and load it up in subsequent trading sessions. So let's start typing save as, and I'll just call this one Nasdaq 100 current and past, and for a data file it's got to end in a .rtd, and then we can just save this. You can give this script. This is the script to load the data file as distinct from the data file. You can give this script whatever name you want. I've just saved this as Nasdaq 100 current and past .rts. All it's got in there is the data import. It doesn't have any system or any exploration or any charts or anything like that at this point. So I'll save that. Okay, so now we have completed our import. We can apply that, and I can press the import button. The import button is going to pull all of that data from Norgate into RealTest so you can start to use it. It's loading it all into memory. It's going to give you access to that data, so we're going to be able to look at it on charts and so on. That takes a couple of seconds depending on how much data it is. It's already done for the Nasdaq 100 current and past, so it's complete. So now what we can do is go and look at some charts, and I'm going to show you how to do the charting in the next video. So if you're like me and you're going to want to trade multiple different markets and different sectors or different indices or different types of stocks within that market, you're going to want to create RealTest data files for each of those different markets or market segments that you want to trade. Typically, you're going to be able to use the built-in watch lists from Norgate in order to build those data files. But if you don't have a Norgate built-in watch list for a data file that you want, what you're going to do is open up the Norgate data updater, and then you're going to come into the watch list library, and you're going to create your own dynamic watch list. You don't want to create a static watch list here. You want to create a dynamic one that's always up to date. So you can click on that, and you can go through the stock market. You can select all of the different parameters or filters that you want for your watch list, give it a name, save it, and then you'll be able to access that watch list from within RealTest in order to do your backtesting and your charting and so on. But for now, let's go back to RealTest, and I'll show you that you can see that data now that we've imported it into the program. Okay, so what we're going to do is just click on the charts tab here, and you'll see that I've got the Nasdaq 100 index, and if I click on that, you can zoom in and out on the chart and see the Nasdaq 100 index. We can select any of the tickers that we've imported and show them on the chart. So here, if I just type AAPL for Apple and click chart, it's going to show a chart of Apple, and we can start to look at that. I'll talk about charting in more detail in a later lesson in this course. But for now, that's how you input data into RealTest. It's the first step for any of your analysis, so make sure you've got your Norgate data. Click the link below, subscribe to Norgate if you haven't already, and then as soon as you've done that, you can start accessing your Norgate data from within RealTest. That's all for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.